Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode actual 19 to be exact. Kind of goes with 2019. And this is Sold with Updike Pugh.
And I'm Jeff Updike.
And I'm Weston Pugh. And we've put together a great show. We've got 4 great properties that we want to talk to you everyone about that range from homes in Uptown that you didn't know existed.
Yep.
And all the way up to almost a zero lot line in a master planned community up in Richardson. In the second half of the show, tune in because we picked up some really interesting articles that we found last week that talk about a lot of different stuff from what's going to happen in 2019 all the way up to smart tools in the home. So sit back, tune in, and let us know what you think. So what's the first one we've got, Jeff?
The first home that we're going to talk about today is located in the Knox Henderson area, and the address is 3119 Oliver. This is a really nice single-family home, and right in the Knox Park area, and it's such a fantastic location.
Yeah, one of the things that we love about this location is its proximity to just about everything. I like to call it epicenter adjacent. So whether it's uptown or you're getting into what's now becoming West Village, you've got these important things that are starting to come up. Everything up and down Knox as well. And you can get onto the Katy Trail really quickly from multiple points in this area. One of the great things too that we noticed is that this is also close to Cole Park. And Cole Park is where you can join a Camp Gladiator, you can play tennis in the evenings, and it's also great for walking dogs.
Did you know that Cole Park was the first site of the Texas State Fair?
That little place?
It sure was.
Well, things have changed.
Yep.
So this kind of is a great segue into this home. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1183 square feet, and was built in 1920.
It is the omnipotent white picket fence home.
Great way to put it.
Just really a cool house. It's really well hidden. I mean, you don't know that you're upon this house until you actually pull up there. There is great off-street parking. You also have a really long driveway. It goes back to an oversized 1-car garage, and it's just could be a great house for someone that wants to live in. It could also work extremely well as a commercial space for someone who needs studio at home. Maybe they're an accountant, maybe they're an attorney. If you need some kind of simple meeting space that you would be able to use in one bedroom and then the other one as your living space, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, the charm factor is through the roof on this one. It's been meticulously cared for, and it's got new windows. The wood floors are original, but they've been taken care of. Small things here and there you might want to take care of as far as like an upgraded kitchen or the bathroom if you wanted to, but great outdoor space, 1-car garage, which is a rarity there in Uptown. Plus it's got additional space in the garage where it could be an artist studio or it could be a storage space, but huge bonus. I think that we're going to see this one get snapped up by someone who's looking for that in-town space as both live work.
Yeah, and you can see here in the pictures of the kitchen, it's great. It has some really great, they're Formica countertops, but they're in phenomenal condition. And they were recently replaced, stainless steel appliances. There's really nothing you have to do when you move into it. You could really just move in and live. And the backyard on this is really amazing because you have this small porch that is a screened porch, so you can keep out of the mosquitoes if you want. But as you step out that backyard, you go into a very nicely landscaped yard. It is fully sprinklered. It's got an 8-foot privacy fence all the way around the backyard. You just can't beat it.
Can't beat it, and you don't know that you're in Uptown. So this one is priced at $695,000, which is $587 a square foot. And we want to say thank you to Courtney Jabinski for allowing us to highlight her show.
Absolutely.
All right, what's we got next, Jeff?
The next one's in the L Streets up in Lake Highland, and the address is 9622 Landward. And this is another very convenient location. You are in the Richardson School District up here. You feed in some really great elementary schools that feed into great middle schools that feed into Lake Highlands High School.
Yeah.
And, many times people look at the Lake Highlands area as its own little city, with Lake Highlands High School being almost, town central, because
Yeah.
most of what happens there as a community evolves around the high school. Now, this is very conveniently located right off of 635, and it's Walden Hill on the east side of 635, turns into Kingsley as it heads over into Garland on the other side of 635. There is a wonderful Frisbee park that is kind of catty-cornered across the intersection there, that is one of the few Frisbee parks in the city of Dallas.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. I haven't done it, but I have seen it
I
there.
played it.
You played it?
Yeah, it's fun.
So moving on to this house is going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's 1,736 square feet, and it was built in 1959. This house has had some really tastefully well-appointed renovations, and it sits well in the house. It's not the only house in the neighborhood that's been renovated, which is a really good sign of what's happening in the neighborhood. One of the things as you walk into the house, you'll notice that there's a room off to the left that is actually a great secondary office. And there they have it set up as a small kids room where it's a great place to catch everything and keep it kind of contained. Well done in this one. When you move into the main space, what really caught me is that so many times developers and renovators can take and knock down too many walls and not give you any really space to be able to balance furniture or kind of get a scale of where things are. But here they did it really tastefully. So they've dedicated just the right amount of space to both the dining and then also to the living area. And what makes this even flow better is that the back portion of this house in the living room is all glass. So it allows this natural light to come in. And one of the things too is that the kitchen was done so well. They've extended the cabinets all the way to the outside wall and made it so that they have a lot of extra space.
Yeah, you can see what he's talking about right there. That the cupboard style pantries that they've added back there really add quite a bit of
bet.
storage in a house that, traditionally these houses don't have a lot of storage.
And it is the biggest complaint. And the other thing that we get is the size of the utility rooms. And this one was surprisingly great sized. So not only did it have connections for full-size washer and dryer, but also had space that if you needed to have a hangings area or whatnot. Not sure we can get a picture, but it's the door right behind the refrigerator right there. As you look through this house, one of the other things too is that I thought they had really taken a page out of Chip and Joanna's book, the group on HGTV for some Flip It show or Love It and Leave It or one of those. There was shiplap in about 4 or 5 of the rooms. And you know what? They did it really tastefully. So I thought it was exciting.
They really did. Some friends and I that when we watch Chip and Joanna's show, we joke about the amount of shiplap that they put into their product. But and it's really more of a joke because they do it really well.
Yeah.
These people have done it just as well as that.
I did. And if there's a picture that you can bring up of the master bathroom, they did a great job here too. It's been scaled the right size. You can tell that everything was thoughtfully selected and it all goes together. So we love it when we stumble upon these homes where everything has been thought out so well. Secondary bedrooms in this one were also really great, and I thought that they were really smart in the way that they took and used 2x4s in just making something unique for the kids' beds. So if you get a chance, go online and take a look at this one. Had a great time. There it is. That's a really interesting way to get that done.
Really great kids room. And this one is priced at $399,000. That brings it in just below $230 a square foot, which, again, for a quality home in the city of Dallas, $230 a square foot is still a really good value. We want to say thank you to Philip Tilger for letting us talk about his home today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Philip. That was a great house. All right, so scooting right along, I want to double check that we're going to move to 10823 Pagewood Place. And that is correct.
There it is.
Just wanted to make sure about that. This one is one of our listings that we have over in North Dallas, and it's off of Meadows. This is one of these great houses that's tucked on the end of a cul-de-sac. This house right now is easy access to 75 and also connections to Royal East and West. One of the things that we also like about this is that it's a direct shot to the toll road if you needed to, which is great access both to the DFW airport and also down to Love. One of the things too is that you're going to find that you have plenty of outside outdoor activity with both the country club and plenty of walking and trails in that neighborhood. So one of these is a great one. This one actually backs up to a creek, And tell us a little bit about the inside and what you love about this house.
I think the thing that I like most about this house is when people walk into it, they always take a few steps in and they stop and they go, "Wow!"
You're right.
Because the view, I mean, and that's the perfect shot right there. Beautiful fiddly fig right there. There is a huge skylight above that allows that to get plenty of natural light. The owner tells us that she takes about a pitcher of water over and pours it on that every 2 to 3 weeks, and that's all it takes. And it's just really I guess kind of surprising that you walk in and see that and then you step beyond it and here's your view of that. 22-foot ceilings, these beautiful cedar beams in the living room. It's all tied together so beautifully and such a great example of 70s soft contemporary styling that has been very well cared for, very well maintained. These owners had enclosed the back porch in and brought some additional space into the kitchen. And when they did that, they added Pella windows, these really great skylights. It flows so beautifully. I mean, you can't help but throw a party in this.
One of the things that I love about this, and one of the things that we really also have been aggressively marketing, and it showed in the open house that Jeff held this weekend where he had 35 people through, but it is a perfect multi-generational home because it has 2 masters, and the 2 masters are on opposite sides. And one of them is, of course, larger and looks like the primary one with the full-size walk-in closet, and both access, there it is right there, access with a to the outside, plus a small seating area. But the secondary master is also holds its own. It has its own walk-in bathroom, it has its own walk-in closet, and it is on the opposite side, close to the kitchen, and is a great thing. And as Jeff said in his open house, when he came back, he said that almost everybody came in and said, "Talk to us about the open houses." So, or a second master.
Yeah.
So if you're in the situation where you find yourself in a multi-generational home, this is a great one for it. It doesn't stop there, though. It also has great outdoor space. I think it's amazing.
The outdoor space on this is truly unique in that it, like Weston said, it sits on that creek lot, and it is like living in a tree house when you walk in. The pool is very, very inviting. It is a heated pool. It has a 45,000 BTU heater on it. There is a gazebo outside, a screened-in gazebo that the owner calls her, what you call it, the wine gazebo?
It's a wind-down bar.
Yeah, the wind-down bar. And it's just a great place to get out there and hang out. You continue on down a little bit, and there's outdoor dining, outdoor seating with its own fireplace. And then you come down to this space where you have this really phenomenal bocce court.
Yeah. This is a great house that can showcase the lot as well as the house. So front to back, this house has a lot to offer. I would say that it's a wonderful, entertaining house to that would be difficult and to rival. So if you're looking for something like this one is priced at 1.12 and is 287 per square foot.
Yes, and for the size of this lot, this 4,000 square foot of the home, that really is a great value.
Yep. So if you have any questions or like to schedule a showing, please let us know, and we'd be happy to get that for you.
Yep.
All right.
The next one that we have is in the master plan development that Weston was talking about earlier, and this is a home that is listed by one of our team members, Robin Kerpeel, and it is a newer construction. It's a Kehovnanian home, and it was built a couple of years ago, or about a year ago, actually. It is in Richardson, just off 75. It is very, very close to the Blue Cross Blue Shield campus. It is about a mile south of the State Farm campus. It is such a great area. You can get on Dart Rail. You can actually walk across 75 to the Dart Rail station.
Yes.
And then, that connects you with almost anywhere in the Metroplex. You can actually ride, the Dart Rail all the way to DFW if you want. The Prairie Creek Park, which is adjacent to this, is a 37-acre nature preserve that you have access to within minutes. There's hiking, there's walking trails, there's a lot of green space there. It's just a great benefit to have in this neighborhood.
And one of the things that when we pulled over and visit and previewed this home, we also went into the sales center, is that this master plan community sits in two different school districts, or elementary feeds into two different elementaries. And this is one of the ones that feeds into Prairie Creek Elementary, which is one of the sought after ones. So if you're looking for something that is turnkey and ready, this is a really great option for you in that neighborhood.
Yeah, if you want newer construction,
Yeah.
but you need something right away, it's a great option for you. And again, Weston was saying, half of it feeds into Plano ISD, half of it feeds into RISD, and you can't beat Prairie Creek Elementary.
No. And this is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and it's 2102 square feet. And again, it was built in 2017. It is in a master plan community, as we said. This is a corner unit with a brick rock combo on the exterior. There's a covered pergola with a gated iron fence on the side. Low maintenance. HOAs actually handle most of the house on this one. What you'll find on the inside of this house is that the taste and design selects were done quite well. It's light and bright. We have plantation shutters downstairs with large white oak planks that really are what people are going for today. Inside of the kitchen, they've been smart. I always think that white cabinets right now are what people are really going for, and it's white, light, and bright. Stainless steel appliances throughout make it a great find. And then also one of the features that we get all the time is the master up or down, and this is one of the ones where the master is actually down. Upstairs there is a secondary living area and then 2 additional bedrooms, so there is space for everybody, and it's not too big of a house that you wouldn't be able to occupy it, and it has room to grow in. Last but not least, it does have 21-foot ceilings, and when we went through some of the K. Hovnanian energy efficiency accessories, this is a great one with foam insulation, tankless hot water heater, low E windows, and radiant barrier. So great thing for a great house and low energy efficiency.
Yeah,
for bills.
that is one of the great things about the K-Hov homes is they do have a tremendous energy efficiency package.
Absolutely. And this one comes in and priced at $464, which comes in at $120 even.
$221 a square foot.
220, 74 square foot. So thank you, Robin, for letting us bring that house on. Can't wait for that to sell.
So our second half of the show today is really talking about articles that we have run across that we find of interest. And these are really a variety of things that we've run across, but there's a lot of information out there that is about real estate and not about real estate. And we felt like we just wanted to kind of narrow this down to kind of a variety of subjects, but kind of the things that stood out to us in the last week or so.
So we looked at some of the stuff that was actually home specific. Some of it was more of the economic factor. We also took a look at from a global perspective and then from a local perspective. So if you'll indulge us, we're going to take and highlight 5, I believe, of the articles that we thought were of importance. And the first one actually is the Dallas Morning News. And this is actually Dallas Morning News, the Sunday edition, because there's a real estate section. And Jeff and I, as we try to market properties, we know that different media reaches different people. And homes still get attention in the Dallas Morning News on the Sunday edition. And this is one of the ones where this week we actually had 2. We actually had Yolanda, 5625 Yolanda, and also 272 Paradise, the one that we just spoke about that was on that. We know that these actually work because at different open houses we've had, people have come to us and they've said, hey, we saw this on the Dallas Morning News and we wanted to come to your open house. And we've also had it where people called and said, we missed your open house that you had in the Dallas Morning News. Could you open the house up for us?
A lot, it's one of the things I think we found is that the morning news in print it's more widely read in print the closer you get to the core of the city. And so, if we have houses in like these in Yolanda, for example, you have people that walk in the door with the newspaper, and not just because of our article, but they walked in because there's an open house list there, or there's information about houses. And as you get a little farther out, sometimes that isn't necessarily true, but what we're finding is those people are shifting over to their digital version.
Right. Digital version is a great version. You actually have the digital version, and it is a very easy way to get that information and see it, and it comes out very crisp and clean. So.
Right.
What's the next article we got?
The next one is one that we saw in D Magazine. It was really a very short article that talked about the luxury high rises that are coming into play. And, you know, this is a kind of an interesting trend that we saw really. We saw a lot of high-rise building, not a lot, but many high-rise buildings kind of boom during the beginning of this last recession. You know, the Azure came on the market. There were the Ritz-Carlton was coming out of the ground. The Museum Towers was coming up. And there were a lot of studies that were talking at the time about, you know, there's too much inventory coming on the market for people to absorb, especially in that price point. So we really saw that cool off for a bit, but now we're seeing it again. And the article in D really kind of highlighted that. Some of the things that, you know, it talked about was the 41-story Atelier, I can't forget.
You got it.
The 28-story Hall Arts, which we have been down to and looked at.
It's amazing.
It's going to be an amazing building. The McKinsey, which is over on Knox Henderson, that's a big luxury apartment building that we've rented a few places in. The Victor in Victory Park, which is coming out of the ground. You know, there's just the Amley Fountain Place, which is coming out of the ground.
60 stories.
Yes, you know, that is the first high-rise, new high-rise in downtown being built since, I think, the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, and they're going to keep that right beside the sister I Am Pei Fountain Place. So that'll be one that'll be amazing to watch. One of the things that the developers are really counting on is that the baby boomers were going to come in. And my big question is, are there additional people like the 30-something that will actually fill in the blanks for the purchases and rentals of these? So it'll be an interesting thing to keep our eye on.
Yeah.
I think one of the first times that we realized that the big baby boomers were on the move was we had a listing back in 2008 in Uptown on Hibernia, and it wasn't a high rise, but we thought it was so interesting that at that point the number of people coming in were really downsizers. And it had a scaffolding built up for elevator later on, and that was a really big calling card. So here come the baby boomers. They are leaving the suburbs.
Yeah, you know, they're, like Weston said, they're really counting on the market for these buildings to be the people that are willing to pay to live in the luxury high rises, you know, and have the really luxe amenities like the fitness centers and the pool room, or I'm sorry, the game room with the pool table, and then the you know, really cool pool outside. I think one of the things that we're going to see is at some point people will, I think we'll see people will not want to continue paying that $3,000 to $4,000 a month for those luxury places and begin to think, maybe I need to get a little piece of my own land somewhere.
Yeah.
And it'll be, you know, we already see the interesting shift in people's heads when they have been paying $3,000 a month for rent somewhere, and they walk into, you know, a $500,000 home, and it's not quite amenitized the way their luxury building is. So there's some mental adjustment that's going to have to take place in that.
There is a little bit of sticker shock. So, but it's always a good time to get into the real estate. So one of the next articles that we did, and this one is very interesting. We actually brought props with this one. This is actually one that both Jeff and I have. Jeff actually, he and I had been talking about what do you use for video for your house, just as a tool for add to your alarm system and whatnot. Because I was really struggling trying to figure out which was good. And you hear everybody says, oh, use this one and whatnot. But they were so expensive, and it was like you had to buy like a kit that had 5, and then you had to buy a hub that connects to your Wi-Fi. And at some point I was like, there has got to be another way to figure this out. And so I think it was very interesting that you figured it out, and then we found this article.
You know where this came from?
No?
My little brother.
Well, thank you, Andy, for handling this
I called
for
him
us.
one day, and I was telling him exactly what Weston was saying. And he said, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe it. I have found these cameras for you. And he sent me the link, and we ordered 2 for you and 2 for me.
Yeah. So the great thing about these little boogers is that their price. So this little guy is like $24.
Yeah, $24. That says $37.98. That is a more advanced version than what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But even for their more advanced version, to pay $38 for the camera is a great deal.
So it's interesting because the article is not super new. It's probably the oldest article that we have, and the article lists the other 4 competitors, and the least expensive competitor is $148. Now, I want everybody to know that I portray a tech-savvy person on TV, but I am not, as you choke on your water. So here's the deal. I got this little booger and set it up in about 15 minutes and had it working. And one of the great things is it is an app that is both compatible with Apple and with Android, and that it actually notifies you not only when it detects motion, but it can also queue up and send notifications if your smoke alarm or your CO2 go off. So it's great. And I have an all glass front door, and I actually have it pointing from the ground up, and it notifies me every single time that my mailman comes by. So looks like Wall-E. The big con against this one is that they say that it's kind of outdated in its design. But if I can set this thing up in 7 minutes and it does what I want it to do, that's a bonus.
Well, it's like Volvo. It's clunky, but it
gets the job done.
It's the job done.
So this article was one that we found on CNET, and we just thought it's a great home tool for security. It is compatible with Alexa. It is not compatible with Google Wi-Fi. Right. So proceed with caution, if you will.
The next article that we read about was on Inman News, and it was a really interesting article about technology never being the solution in terms of our industry. And, we use a lot of technology in our industry in communicating with our clients and providing data to our clients. But this really talked about many of the artificial intelligent bots that are out there that
the data
that people are using to ultimately price their home, and how those are not necessarily going to be the way that somebody ends up getting the most for their home when they go to sell it. We use a lot of technology, but we never want that to replace our human interaction in it.
And that's kind of what the if you kind of boil down the essence of this article, there were 2 things. Technology is used, what does they say, makes the fundamental tasks easier. That I can agree with. But at the end of the day, it's customer service and it's relationships that cannot be replaced. You either have those or you don't. And no AI and no database is going to be able to change that. So I thought this was a really great, it reemphasized what Chris Kelly, the new CEO for the EBI and the DPM families, and his big thing was that customer service is number 1. And I think that Jeff and I strive every day to figure out how do we use technology to make our customer service better, but not to replace that human touch.
One of Ebby's biggest parts of her business was do something good for someone every day. And, I think that's hard to do with only technology.
Absolutely.
It is, I think part of our business is anticipating issues before they come up. It is, making sure that clients are well taken care of, and that you get every dollar you can. Real estate is your most expensive purchase that you're, probably ever going to be involved with. And so you really want someone there who's making sure that the decimal is not in the wrong place.
It's interesting because I don't know, and I think that you and I have kind of had light conversations about how would a desktop agent, meaning something that's more technical driven, be able to ever convey to another desktop agent the importance of features or to be able to negotiate repairs, because those are some of the most difficult things there are. One of the last things I'll point out about the article was that it said that 69% of buyers and sellers of all generations said the number 1 thing they rely on in choosing an agent was a referral from a trusted service. And it's not them saying, oh, have you seen that database? Or, oh, the technology on that one is great. It boils down to the human factor of real estate transaction. I think at the end of the day, that's key. And that's why you and I are constantly writing out handwritten thank you cards.
Yep, I agree. The last article that we wanted to talk about today is really kind of the culmination of articles. It's kind of bringing together, I think the thing that got us first talking about this was Steve Brown's article on Friday in the Dallas Morning News that talked about the change that's occurring in the market. And, we started talking about it. We both did a little more research on it. And I think we ended up talking about some stuff that was in the Washington Post. We've talked about some of the information that's come out from the National Association of Realtors. And if you haven't read Steve Brown's article Friday, I would definitely go back and read it, because especially if you're a seller, because I think it does kind of help set the expectation of that we are really kind of out of that price, that pricing, I don't know, trajectory
Yeah.
that we had for 4 or 5 years.
So the Washington Post did come out with this article that was, it was about 2019 housing markets. And this is a really good one because they brought in NAR, Realtor.com, Zillow, and mortgage bankers associations and kind of asked them the same set of questions. And when you kind of whittled it down and was like, what was the main thing that they had to say about it? They all kind of gleaned the same thing, that sales will continue to be strong, but they will not increase at the rate that they have in 2012, 13, 14, and 15, 16.
Yeah, there's only a 1% increase in the number of transactions that's expected next year or this year.
And they kind of went ahead and said that the price increases will not be that astronomical increase, that it'll be, as Lawrence Yu of NAR said, he said, the forecast for home sales will be very boring, meaning stable.
Yeah.
And I think that we are seeing that already with some of the inventory, and the next article will kind of reemphasize that. The easy gains are over. Price increases will be incremental, and I think that they all kind of had that exact same thing. They did also point out that there were interesting factors outside that were more global that talked about trade tensions, stock market volatility, and government shutdowns that actually causing people to think maybe twice about A, putting their house on the market, or B, actually purchasing a home. So we'll keep our eyes on that. The builders it was interesting. They said that they had headwinds ahead of them, and they called them the 5 L's. And those L's were labor, lots, laws, lending, and lumber. And so you can kind of see how these could all begin to create a little more difficulty, but still a very healthy growth, especially here in North Texas, as we've talked about in previous ones. So overall, this is a really good read. I think this has a lot more information than you and I are touching on. But if you were looking for something, it's the Washington Post, and it was the one that they had titled 2019 Housing Market. So great read, and I would definitely encourage you to take a chance and look at that. All right.
Okay. And then I guess the last one is the Dallas Morning News article that I was talking about. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead there. The Morning News, the way Steve Brown put this, I thought really made a lot of sense. And the gist of the story is really that the market is just not what it was for the last 2 years. The December days on market has been the largest since 2015, but it's really kind of a normalization of the market.
We needed it.
Yes, I agree. The highest days on market that we found in the marketplace were in Sunnyvale, and that's predominantly due to the amount of new construction that's going on out there. You know, the construction going north could only go so far north until you took people away from the core of the city, and then it began going to the east. And, you know, my brother lives in Forney, and the amount of building that's going on heading out I-30 and heading out US 80 is just phenomenal.
It is. And so construction is a key element out there just because they're building and building. And if you're trying to do a resale out there, it can be challenging at best. One of the terms that we kind of tell the people that we're talking with about bringing their house on the market is that greed is gone. Historically, you can look back and see just these large increases that we've talked about, and that's not the case so much anymore. You really have to look at the days on market, both that are still available and the ones that sold when you're actually coming up with the day's sales price.
Yeah, there were, you know, some of when we were talking a couple of years ago about how price increases were happening at 6 and 7 and 10% on average per year. That was an average, which means there were some markets that prices were increasing by 15 to 20%. Some markets weren't increasing that fast, but there were, you know, some of those up and coming neighborhoods that really experienced, I mean, their homes were probably worth double what they were 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep. And this isn't to mean or to say that you're not going to get your house sold in the first week, because we all know that real estate is like the weather, and it could be really great in one area, not so good in the other area. December for us was good.
Yeah, we had 8 closings in December, so that was a really, I thought, a great month for what is usually the slowest month of the year.
Yeah. So again, it just kind of goes on what's happening in your neck of the woods, and one of the surprise factors that happened this fall, and I think has still a little bit of lasting repercussions was that typically in election years, and you've always said this, and you were the first person to ever say it, is that in election years, there's always a slowdown during that November. And this is the first time, and it was pretty much across the board, that we saw agents and sellers alike talking about the effect that the midterms had.
Yeah, the uncertainty causes people to not want to do something, and so they just kind of pause that 45 to 60 days prior to a full presidential election. And this time, I think there was so much angst about the midterm election that it caused almost that same thing to happen.
Absolutely.
And that in conjunction with what was kind of the normalization, that I think everybody began to feel the last half of 2018.
So kind of going over this, I would just say that we still are kind of grouping all these together. We're still seeing a healthy market in North Texas.
Very healthy.
We've still got great jobs coming into the area. We're going to see I dare to use the word slowdown. It's just not going to be what last year was, just because it can't do that in sales or in price.
Yeah, if in Dallas-Fort Worth, we're expected to have a little bit fewer sales in 2019 than we had in 2018 or 2017, but we're still going to have the second best year on record in sales in the number of transactions. So,
It's still great.
Yeah.
It's still a great time. So, well, I think that's about all the time that we have today.
yeah, I hope you enjoyed the articles. There was a kind of a mishmash of information there, but hopefully it kind of helped you sort out some of the information that's out in the marketplace right now.
If you want to know what articles we actually use, just shoot us an email and we'll be happy to send them over to you or comment on this. But until next week.
Absolutely. We want to say thank you for joining us today. It's really been great. You could reach out to us in a variety of ways. Our Facebook page has a lot of information about our homes on it, our Instagram account. We usually post pictures of houses we have there and kind of keep up to date with our social media in both of those realms. Go to our website if you want to get any detail about how to buy or sell a home. We're happy to set up a search for you. If you're a homeowner who wants to know the price of your home, go to homeprice.fyi and put your address in there, and it will give you an instant property evaluation. Last of all, feel free to reach out to us in those traditional methods of just picking up the phone and calling. If you're a little bit more high tech, pick up the phone and text us. So
That's awesome.
we really appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us.
Have a great day.